Section 2 is all calculator moves. My biggest hint to you would be to write down in your notes how to type it in your calculator. Okay? That way you don't get stuck and say, oh, which button do I push now? Okie dokie. All right, the first thing that we need to make sure we do is that our calculator is in degree mode. So, very first, before we start anything, if you have one like mine, and you have stuff along the top, if it says radian right here, we need to make sure it's in degrees. If you don't have anything, cruise with me anyway. So I'm going to push the mode button. It's right next to the blue second button. So I need to push mode, and I need to make sure this guy is in degree mode. If you're not sure with your calculator, let me know. But you have to be in degree mode. Otherwise, you're going to get crazy things that are not the same as what I get. Now, your calculator is going to go in degree mode, and we're not going to take it out of degree mode until chapter 3. Actually, no, we're going to leave it in degree mode. If we get to chapter 4, then we would take it out. Okay? But we're going to leave it in degree mode. So, if you're using one of my calculators, or if you share with somebody, especially if they're in pre-calc or something like that, make sure every time you get your calculator back, if you're not the only one using it, that it's in degree mode. Okay? Like I said, come grab one if you need one. Otherwise, today is going to be a nightmare. All right, so it should say degree. Is everybody okay? Does anybody need help with their calculator? Okay. So, as we know from before, a full rotation is 360 degrees. So, a full way around the circle is 360 degrees. That means only one of those degrees is 1/360th of a rotation. Right? Okay, now, think about a clock. I think this makes it easier if you think about a clock. So, if I go the whole way around, that's 360 degrees. One of them is a degree. But then I can take those degrees and divide them up into 60 equal parts. And that's why I like to think about a clock. So if I take a degree and divide it into 60 equal parts, those are called minutes. And its symbol is one like apostrophe. Then I can take 1 minute and divide it into 60 equal parts. What do you think it's called? Seconds. Right? You're like, oh, predictable. That's why I think about a clock too. So its symbol is then two little apostrophes. Yeah, like quotation marks, if you will. All right. Now, you can use your calculator to add degrees and minutes. Let me show you. Your calculator has these symbols. Okie dokie. This is like incredibly awesome stuff. So if you hit the angle button is the second with the apps button. See how it says angle right there? So if you do second apps, you get this angle menu. So that first one is a degree. That one's a minute. The R is not a second. The R, or the second button, you have to go all the way. I don't know why they don't, like, times I need to rule the world, right? This guy right down here, I believe it's this one.
I see it. It's on the plus.
It's with the plus. It's the green in the plus. You see it? That's the second button. Now, are we going to use that a ton? Probably never. Okay? I don't care about that much precision, to be honest. Okay, so we can grab the degrees and the minutes from this angle menu. You're going to use this a ton. We're not going to use the R, but if you notice here, number 4, it says an arrow with DMS. That means convert it to degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay? Think about your calculator. When you type things in, usually it gives it to you in a decimal form, right? And then you say, hey, I want that answer as a fraction. Or, I want this guy in degrees, minutes, and seconds form. Okay, so if you don't have a calculator, you can certainly do this by hand. However, Your life's a whole lot easier if you just use a calculator. So we're just going to plug and chug with this guy. So it says add 48 degrees, 49 minutes, and 72 degrees, 26 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to go out to quit because I got to put some stuff in first. So I want 48 degrees, second angle degrees. All right, 49 minutes, second angle minutes. Plus 72 degrees, 26 minutes. All right, now when you push enter, notice it gave it to you in decimal form. Okay, we call that guy decimal degrees. Okay, he doesn't have degrees in minutes, he's in decimal degrees. So 121.25 degrees. However, it gave us to us in decimal, or it gave us into degrees in minutes, so I'm going to use that DMS button. So I'm going to do second angle, and I'm going to convert that guy into degrees, minutes, and seconds. Now, it'll give you seconds every time whether you want them or not. So really, we're just going to look at this guy. So 121 degrees, 15 minutes. All right, now let's think about how that would look like if I didn't have a calculator. If I didn't have a calculator, I would take 48 plus 72, and I'd get 120, right? You're like, well, no, wait, that's not what we got. When I add 49 and 26, that's more than 60 degrees, or 60 minutes. Does that make sense? So think about it as like 75 minutes. Well, that's an hour and 15 minutes, right? It's a degree and 15 minutes as well. I think it's easier just throw it in your calculator. Now, we've turned this guy into degree mode. So if you look at number 2, it says subtract 24 degrees, 14 minutes from 90 degrees. If you just have 90 and you don't have any minutes, we don't have to type in the degree symbol. So we can do 90 because we've told our calculator we're already in degree mode. But this guy has minutes, so we have to distinguish between degrees and minutes. All right, so 65.7667. Remember, if it gives it to you in decimal degrees, you can leave it, but it didn't. It gave it to us in degrees, minutes, and seconds. So I'm going to convert it. 65 degrees, 46 minutes. Number 3, it says change 27.25 into degrees and minutes. Whoa, I forgot the decimal. Oops. Second angle, degrees and minutes. 27 degrees, 15 minutes. See how we're using that angle menu a ton. The nice thing about number 4 is that after I type it in, your calculator will automatically change it to decimal degrees. So all you have to do is type it in and push enter. So 10.75 degrees. All right, questions on that stuff to begin with? Okay, number 5. Number 5 says, it says make sure your calculator's in degree mode. Always, always, always. All right, now we're going to start using those trig functions that are actually in our calculator, and this is the part where you need to make sure you know how to push the buttons, okay, in which order. So it says find cosine of 37.8 degrees to 4 decimal places. A lot of what we're doing is to 4 decimal places. Make sure you're rounding correctly. Okay, so if you need to fix it to 4, fix it to 4. Remember, you do that in your mode. So here we go. I'm going to just type in cosine of 37.8. Now, if you're not in degree mode, we'll figure it out real fast right now. Because I'm in degree mode, I don't have to put the degree symbol. So, to 4 decimal places, this guy is 0.7902. If you didn't get that, check to make sure you're in the right mode.
Did you put the degree symbols on the answer for that?
Well, the degree's here. So this is, think about this guy as like our fraction. So this is like our opposite of lowercase. Yes, good question. Okay. So Ray said, does that guy get a degree symbol with him? No. Think about this guy as our fraction. That's our answer, right? This is our adjacent over hypotenuse as a decimal. Okay, so sine of 58.75. I'm going to hit the sine button. 58, excuse me, 0.75. 0.8549. Okay. Now, if you notice, how many trig buttons do you have on your calculator? 3, right? You've got sine, cosine, and tangent. Do I have secant, cosecant, and cotangent? No, I don't. So this is the part where it's very important you know how to type this guy into your calculator. So it says find the secant of 78 degrees to 4 decimal places using the x to the minus 1 on your calculator. Now, I think that's a little misleading. I want to show you a couple ways to type that in your calculator. What do you know about secant?
It's like opposite.
Whose reciprocal is he?
Cosine.
Cosine. So what could I do to find secant? 1 over cosine, right? So in my calculator, I can type it one of 2 ways. 1 divided by the cosine of 78 degrees. Now, as you notice, I didn't use these minus 1 functions in my calculator. Okay? It's merely 1 divided by the cosine of 78 degrees. Or, if you like it in fraction form, 1 over the cosine of 78 degrees. Whatever makes sense to you. So 4.8097. All right, so we know what it is. Now, it says use that minus 1. Remember, an exponent that's negative makes it move to the denominator. So the other way that you could type it into your calculator is with some parentheses and a negative exponent. You get to decide how you type it in your calculator, but I want you to show you that that's the same. So if I do the cosine of 78 degrees raised to the negative 1 exponent. You do have a negative 1, it's just to the left of sine. Notice it's the same. Okay? So you get to decide how to do it. All right. Questions on that? All right, number 8 says find the sine of 24.3 and the cosine of 65.7. Do those. Tell me what you notice. Why are they the same? They do. So 0.4115. Remember, they are co-functional. Okay. I want you to draw a little line after number 8. From 5 through 8, I gave you the angle, right? And we use those plain trig functions, sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay? What's different about number 9? Yeah, I'm giving you the answer, right? And you're supposed to find the what? The angle. Okay? So starting at number 9, we're finding the angle now. Now we're going to use what's called the arc functions. Okay? These are the guys with sine to the minus 1, cosine to the minus 1, and tangent to the minus 1. So these are the seconds. So if you are looking, I shouldn't say that, the second, when we do hit the second button and then the trig function, okay? If you're looking for the angle, I'm going to use the ones with the minus 1. So number 9 there says, find the acute angle for which tangent of theta equals 3.152 and round to the nearest tenth of a degree. So in my calculator, I'm going to put in tangent to the minus 1 of 3.152. So second tangent 3.152. So to the nearest tenth of a degree. 72.4. How'd you type it into your calculator? Second tangent Okay, so number 10. Find the acute angle for which sine of A is 0.3733, round to the nearest tenth of a degree. Okay, how am I going to put that in my calculator? Second sine 0.3733. .9 degrees. Uh-oh. What about 11? This is the one where I really want you to write down how to type into your calculator. Okay? This one says, to the nearest tenth of a degree, find the acute angle if secant of B is 1.0768. Yowzer, right? I don't have a second secant button. I could do 1 divided by this guy, right, and flip him over. Okay, so cosine of B is 1 divided by 1.0768. Or 0.9287. So that's cosine. So I could do second cosine of that answer, and I get 21.8 degrees. Now, I'm going to show you how to type it in your calculator all at once. You ready? We know we should get 21.8, but let's see how to type it all in our calculator all at once. Here we go. I'm looking for an angle. Cosine's reciprocal of 1 divided by 1.0768. We got 20. Okay, try 12. See if you can do 12. Did you get 84.4 degrees? If you didn't, holler at me and I will come look at your calculator. No judgment zone. So you should say second tangent, because tangent and cotangent are reciprocals. So tangent to the minus 1 of 1 divided 0.0975. Now, Thomas.
I mean, why can't you do 1 over tangent? It doesn't work. But on, like, do I? It would be the same.
What do you mean?
I got the wrong answer. If I did 1 over tangent all
If you did it on the outside, so you're still finding the angle of tangent and then flipping it over. So what you need to do is flip this function over and then take it over. Does that make sense? You have to flip the fraction. That's okay. So he put the 1 on the outside of the parentheses and he got 0.17. I can guarantee you I won't give you angles that are less than like 2. Does that make sense? So if you get some crazy decimal that's less than 2, you've probably done something wrong if you're looking for an angle. Okay? All right, any other questions?